This is the volume and surface area of a cone from Chapter 9. The volume formula is V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. Pi r squared is area. My preference, however, instead of taking a third of it, is to go volume equals pi r squared h divided by 3. You still have the area formula in there of a circle. If you take 1/3 of something, it's like dividing by 3. For instance, 1/3 of 27 is the same as 27 divided by 3, which is 9. 1/3 of 42 is the same thing as 42 divided by 3, which equals 14. And 1/3 of 16 is like 16 divided by 3, which is 5 1/3. Now, to draw this picture, you make a circle. So I'll just do one with you. So you draw a circle, put a center point, put a point up top. This needs to come to a 90 degrees. This will be your radius. Then you connect this part right here to that point and this point on the side to this point. To make it look a little more realistic, you erase out these, or you don't draw them in to begin with. Those right there. And then that gives you that picture. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. Go ahead and draw that in, please. And then you're going to write the surface area formula underneath that. You'll notice I've used color coding to help you. Surface area formula is given as S for surface area equals 1/2 2 pi r times L plus pi r squared, or if you take half of 2, you end up with 1. That would give you pi r L plus pi r squared. I actually prefer the first one because I think it's easier to understand what you're doing with the first one. So you've got your surface area, which has a component of circumference in it, and you've got the area, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So let's go ahead and do our first problem, but I'm going to ask you to, at this time, to pause the recording, copy down these notes. As soon as you're ready, go ahead and start up the recording again. Okay, I'd like you to listen to the parts as we go, and then I'm going to ask you to stop the recording and write some stuff down. Okay, so let's go ahead and just first of all look at, here's our cone, and I'll remind you to draw one again. I'll remind you how that works. But we have here the diameter, which is 12 yards. That works really great for circumference, so let's go ahead and calculate the circumference using diameter. So C equals pi d. So pi is going to approximate as 3.14 times the diameter of 12. C is going to be 37.68 yards. Now, let's go ahead and do the area next. I need radius for area, so half of 12 is 6, so there's our 6 yards. So we're going to go 3.14 as approximation for pi times r, which is 6 squared. 3.14 times 36. Again, you want a calculator for this. It's much, much faster. And that's going to give you 113.04. And we're looking at yards squared. Let's go ahead and circle that. And then we've got the circumference. We're going to start with these two right off the bat. We'll come to slant high next because that's a little bit new for you. So volume uses pi r squared, the area. So basically, you're finding the area of the circular base, taking it times the height, and that's going to give you what will go inside of your cone. Like if you had an ice cream cone, you flip this over, you filled it up with ice cream, that would be the volume of ice cream it would hold. Okay, so I prefer this one. V equals 1/3 pi r squared h is what they give you. I prefer V equals pi r squared h divided by 3. So I'm going to use that one. So B equals pi being 3.14. Our radius is 6. Actually, we already have pi r squared, so that's right here. Pi r squared is 113. So let's back this up. We already have pi r squared. And pi r squared, excuse me, that's it right here, is 113.04. So we're going to go 113.04 times the height. I'm using this formula. The height is 8, so times 8. And we're going to divide that by 3. Just use your calculator. Go ahead and do that. And that will give you 301 and 44/100 yards squared. Again, by taking what I know about area and just substituting it in, I just substituted that value in, then I saved myself a lot of time. Now we're going to go over to the surface area formula, and I'll just go ahead and tell you I'm going to use the first one. Not that there's anything wrong with the second one, but I like the first one better, and I'll explain why after I explain the picture. So we've got S equals, we're going to divide by 2 because that's the same as taking 1/2. I've got 2 pi r right here, so if I go here, there's my 37.68, that's my 2 pi r, pi d is the same as 2 pi r, so that's going to be 37.68. Now I'm going to need my L. I don't have that yet, I'll calculate that in a second. But then I've got my pi r squared right here. We already did pi r squared, which is 113.04. So I've got a bunch of my problem done. I just have to calculate L. So let's go ahead and calculate L now. As you can see, this is a right triangle. You've got this leg and this leg. This leg right here is the height, which is 8 squared. I'm going to call that my A. This leg right here is half of your diameter, which is 6. So 6 squared equals L squared. 8 squared is 64, 6 squared is 36, equals L squared. 64 and 36 is going to be 100, equaling L squared. You want to isolate and get L, so you take the square root of L squared to get L. Then you have to take the square root of 100, using your properties of equality, which gives you 10. So L equals 10. Now I simply come over and put 10 here. Using my calculator, I go 37.68 times 10 and divide by 2, and I get the following amount, 188.4 plus the 113.04, and when I add that, I end up with, it's not usual, your surface area equals 301 and 4400 yards. It's not usual for your volume and surface area to be the same, so don't expect them to always be the same. Now, let me talk about this, how this works with all of these parts. Surface area is a little more complicated. It's pretty easy to understand the area of the circle, because you need that. If you were going to manufacture this, something in a cone shape, you would need the area of that circle would be 113.04, so that's your pi r squared. However, it's a little harder to understand this cone part. If you were to take this cone part that wraps around and open it up, you would notice that the base of that, this right here, is that circumference of that circle. So the circumference of that base, or of that circle, is 2 pi r. Then you have your area of your, you have the slant height, which is L, which is going to be 10. If you were to take half of that slant height and then times it by the circumference, you'd get the area of that sector. This is a sector right here. Or you can just think about it when you simplify it. If you take pi times r, the radius, times L, the slant height, you'll end up with the same amount. But I think that the first formula explains this idea better. I don't care which formula you use as long as you substitute into them correctly. Okay, we're going to go on and do another problem. I want you to pause this recording, get everything written down, including this little bit of knowledge here, so you can help to understand how come you do the surface area formula, and then we'll go on to the next problem. Okay, here's your next problem. I'd like you to draw the cone. It has a radius of 5 centimeters. The vertical, or the vertical height, which is at a right angle, is 12 centimeters. You will have to calculate the slant height, which is that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You can see this is a right triangle here, and you have your two legs, your height of 12 centimeters and your radius of 5 centimeters, which will allow you to get that hypotenuse or slant height of L. Once you've done that, I'd like you to calculate the volume. You may use whatever formula you want to. I will use the second one if that helps you. And then on surface area, you may use either formula. Again, I've color-coded, I'll have color-coded things connecting area to the green and circumference to the blue. And then go ahead and turn the recording back on and check your work. If you have any mistakes or you need to pause at any time, then go ahead and do so. Don't forget that pi is being approximated to 3.14. And I'm going to use the second formula in volume, and I'm going to use the first formula for surface area if you want to have it exactly like mine is. Okay, so you've calculated all this now. Your area is 78.5 centimeters squared. Your circumference is 31.4 centimeters. And your slant height is 13 centimeters. So if you go ahead and have all of these correct, now your volume and surface area should be correct. If you don't have one of these correct, go back and fix it, and then calculate your volume and surface area. So the area is 78.5 centimeters squared. That's our pi r squared. I'm going to substitute it in here to the pi r squared. So 78.5 times the height of 12 divided by 3, because remember, this pi r squared h, that's the cylinder formula. There are essentially the three cone volumes will fit in the cylinder volume with the same base and height. So you have 78.5 times 12 divided by 3 in your calculator, which gives you a volume of 314 centimeters cubed. Now for surface area, you have that base that you still have to make something for, like manufacture a piece of paper or a piece of metal. So there's your pi r squared, your 78.5. That just comes along for the ride. Now your cone portion, that wrapped around part, that surface area, you can see that the base goes right around here. That's going to be your circumference. There's your 2 pi r, which is your 31.4. Then you have your slant height. Your slant height is this little right triangle right here. You have 2 legs, so you can find that hypotenuse. So you had 12 squared plus 5 squared, which is 144 plus 25 equals L squared. That's 169 equals L squared. You take the square root of L squared to get L. Square root of 169 is 13 centimeters. So that 13 centimeters, that slant height, if you take half of that and then multiply that by the circumference, you'll end up with what amount of material you need to manufacture that. So we have 31.4, which is our 2 pi r, our circumference, times 13. You have to take half of that. If you take 13 divided by 2, that'll be 6.5 times 31.4 gives you 204.1, plus the area of that circular base, which is the surface area is 282.6 centimeters squared. If you didn't match up with my values, please go back and see if you can figure out where you messed up, fix it, and then I'm going to give you one more problem to work, so you'll set it up in exactly this fashion, and then you'll go ahead and turn your recording back on to check it after you've done it independently. We kind of did this one together. And then if you've done that one correctly, you should be ready when you come to class next time to do the final problem, the 4th problem with us. Here's the problem I'd like you to try independently. To draw it, remember you just draw that circle, which looks more like an oval, put a point at the center, come up a ways, draw another point directly above the center point, connect that center point to your edges, draw a vertical line for the height with a right angle, and draw in your radius. Your height is 10 inches, your radius is 7 inches. You will have to calculate your L, your slant height. Once you've calculated your area of a circle, your circumference, and your slant height, all of which you have skills to do, then you will substitute those values in for volume and surface area. Turn the recording back on and check your answers. Your area of a circle is 3.14 times r squared, which is 7 squared, which is 49. Those multiplied together is 153.86 inches squared. Your circumference is 2 pi r, so 2 times 3.14 times 7, which is the radius, which is 43.96 inches. Your slant height is 10 squared plus 7 squared equals L squared. You go through the process, you come up with approximately, it's the square root of 149, which is approximately 12.21. You substitute those values in, and volume is 512.87 inches cubed, and surface area is approximately 422.24 inches squared. If you differ at any place, I would recommend that you go back in and see if you can figure out where you did it incorrectly, and then try it again. If you have any questions, go back and look through the rest of the recording.